All right, students, we are still in 2.4, and this is starting at number 27, and this is where we display the average. And this is the flow chart right under the heading here, and when you press the display average button, this is really all that's happening. It's going to take that sum that you just did and divide it by it says here, count of amounts. And I thought that was a little cryptic. And so I want to tell you that the sum is the last procedure that we just said. It's going to add up all the number of flu cases, all the number of patients that the app has recorded. And then it's going to divide it by the different months that you entered those numbers with. So if you selected January, February, March, that's 3 months. Now, if we were to put a number in, we would take all of the flu cases and divide it by 3. But we don't want to have to come up with a number of months every time. We're just going to have it pull the entered months. And that's what that months entry variable and empty list that we created, I should say, is for. We're going to scroll down, and you'll notice that when we get to the display button, we have not been given any code blocks to look at here. So this is where we are being asked to figure it out. So before I turn you loose, I want to show you a couple of things. So I have uncollapsed my display average procedure, and like we began the setting the global sum to 0, my guess is we're going to have to do something very similar. Now here's my initialize global sum variable. Here's my initialize global average variable. So I think if you go to the variables drawer, you can do what you did in the previous step right in here. Now the next thing that we need to do is do the math like it described in the previous step. So we are going to go and get one of those for each item blocks. And again, you're going to need to fix the setting to 0. I'll let you fill those in. And our math block is going to be different. Instead of global sum, we're doing the global average. So again, you can set your menu, and our math block is not going to be the addition. What do we do if we're going to find an average? Which math operation are we going to do? In that pause, you should have chosen, and you should have chosen the appropriate math block. If you don't know, ask a neighbor. Once we have figured out the math for the global average, we are going to have to do the same thing in order to display that. Now, here's a hint. In the instructions, there is a list block that is not clearly defined. And I want to give you that hint right now. I went ahead and put in the math block, and here we have to get a length of list dot list block from the list drawer. And it goes in the second spot right here. So just like in our sum procedure, we are going to have to get 2 of these procedure blocks that will let us do the average. One goes here, and one goes on the other side here. Once you've done that, you should be able to get your app to work, but of course, you're going to have to add the appropriate green set.text block and get the appropriate variable block, and that's going to have to go down below in your code here. Get that to work, and the next video will show you our final display data list procedure.